What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Los Wise Guys podcast. Today, I am your host, Pop Uncle Dan, accompanied by the architect of the
Oh,
Ra,
oh,
Eslam, God of the Sun,
okay.
and the Lord Emperor Disco.
Mm.
How you doing, Disco? How you guys doing?
I don't know if it's
Good,
just
good.
me, but you sounded kind of like muffled in the beginning.
That's how I
Yeah,
live.
he
I
did
live
sound a
muffled.
little muffled, but he sounds
Yeah.
better now. It's all right.
Did it
Yeah, you
fix? You
sound
want me to
good
do
now.
it over? Should we just cancel the podcast, start over episode 1?
Reintroduce ourselves.
Oh
Oh
god.
man. So, in this episode, we got a lot to talk about. We are gonna do a little recap of what happened in WrestleMania and all of WWE. But first, I do want you guys to go ahead, check out all of our social medias. Damn, I thought that's what you could go with. Check
Damn.
out all of our social medias so you can go ahead, follow, like, share, subscribe. I didn't mean to say that part, Eslam. I'm sorry. I was just reading that. And yeah, you go ahead, do all that. Check out everything we're doing. All our social medias. You can check out the links on this site right here, if you're watching, whether it be on YouTube, on twitch.tv/LosWiseGuys, or on our main site, loswiseguys.com, right below me. You can go ahead. Damn it, Eslam.
Set them all out of order. I don't know what you're doing.
My
I don't
bad,
know what
man.
you're saying. I don't know
I'm
what
just
you're
trying
saying.
to. I'm trying to be quick.
He's
You're
off the
trying to
Be
hip.
on your toes.
My reaction time is that of a retarded tortoise.
I could tell
So,
by the length of that sentence.
Yeah, exactly. So you gotta work with me here.
But like for real, go ahead, check out loswiseguys.com, or you can always check out the LWG FEGL S3. That's right, season 3, where we are doing everything. I'm in the lead as usual. We go out there, see the score, see what's going on, and see how bad I'm going to beat everybody this year. But we're
Yeah.
not going to talk about that, guys. We are going to talk about WWE. We got a whole big ass episode of PowerBomb Weekly. That's what we're doing.
Heartthing says HBO Max for Twitch.
I did notice that.
It did not update.
Yeah, it didn't.
Son of a gun.
What's it say on Twitch?
No, on Twitch I did that.
That's fine. Let them live, you know? Let them live
They'll
out
figure
there.
it out.
HBO did one hell of a job for Last of Us. Let's give them their flowers, guys.
We're gonna tune in for Last of Us and get slapped with WrestleMania stuff.
Oh man, but no. So we're gonna show off some WrestleMania 39. As a caveat, just so you guys are aware, I saw the entire thing. I did see the Hall of Fame. I did see the Monday Night Raw afterward. Disco watched Night 2 of WrestleMania. Once again, I appreciate that. Thank you. You're not a diehard wrestling fan. You're not really a wrestling fan at all. So thank you for that. I very much appreciate that on behalf of everyone who's ever watched an inkling of wrestling.
Who got
And
inducted?
Eslam-
Anybody of note?
Oh, I got it. I got a slide. Don't you worry about that, sir.
Oh, okay.
I got
Yeah,
a slide.
sorry. All right.
No, you're good. And Eslam, you didn't watch anything, and for that,
No.
I appreciate you too for standing by your morals.
I did watch a GIF.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. Well, I'm gonna take it back because you said GIF and not GIF. But no, we're good.
I think it's GIF. All right.
Well,
Fuck
I don't.
your
That's what I
GIFs.
call my peanut butter.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Well, it's not good peanut butter, but
I don't buy it.
These little
I don't buy
videos are GIFs. Even the creator said so.
Well, yeah, but he's wrong. As a whole,
He's the
world
creator.
agreed. Like, yeah, I know he's the creator.
No.
The creator isn't always right. Vince McMahon created WWE.
I don't know. You wouldn't say giraffe. Like it's definitely giraffe.
That's a different word. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I mean, the other argument is like you don't
English-
say gift, you say gift, right? So it's just like you could make the argument for both sides,
Yeah.
and GIF
You're
is
never
the
gonna
better
win.
one.
I mean, you're never gonna win. It just sounds better saying GIF.
No, it doesn't. GIF sounds better.
I don't care. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna say GIF to the day I die.
Good.
I gotta say,
GIF,
I'm
but
on
not
the-
telling
I'm
you
on the-
you're wrong. I just
I'm on the
prefer
GIF side too. So
Yeah.
it's
You guys,
two,
you
two-
guys
two
can be.
on
That's
one.
why I got the big picture. You guys got the little one. I know Eslam could change that at any moment he wants.
I was about
two
to,
GIFs
But I'm
equals
standing
one
by
GIF.
it.
I was about-
I knew you were about to. That's why I was like, I'm gonna say it before you get there. My reaction time's faster than yours. All right. So
Is
Eslam, if you
this-
want to show that first slide there.
yes.
All right. So first off, let's talk about WrestleMania. So, Disco, is this your first ever watching WrestleMania?
Honestly, I think so. It was
Yeah, tell me
I
how.
can't
you feel.
even-
Shane?
I can't
No,
even
that's not
remember. I might have seen one or two like when I was younger, like back when The Rock and like Stone Cold. But
Yeah.
if you asked me about them, I couldn't tell you anything about it. But I'm pretty sure I did back then. But in my 30s and even 20s, I don't think I've seen any WrestleMania. So
I got
this
you.
would be my first time in like my adult life.
I got you. Real quick, shout out to Clark Griswold in the chat, even though he's pronouncing the wrong GIF name there and he's spelling it correctly. Shout out to him. But no, so yeah, I mean, Disco, real quick, I just want to know your rating. Five on a scale of 1 to 5. What are you giving WrestleMania?
Oh, WrestleMania? It's on a scale of stuff that I would normally watch.
Mm-hmm.
I would
Just in
say
your opinion, where are you putting it?
It was a strong like 3.8 ish. You
All right.
know, I
respect it.
I wasn't like totally enthralled, but there were points where I was definitely like, oh shoot, what the heck? I
Yeah, no, I
totally
got you.
like, you know, I could
I
find
got you.
myself getting lost in certain parts, and the certain parts I kind of just my eyes got glazed over. I'd find myself looking at my phone or just doing anything else.
I got you. Yeah, so as you just saw on the screen, Clark Griswold did mention that it's foreign to him that this is somebody's first Mania. I mean, I get you, but it's still out there. There's a lot of
Shit,
people that
I'm still at 0
Eslam still
manias.
hasn't watched one. Yeah, mind you, he hasn't been there, but for the what is it? The G1 Supercard in
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden, the joint show between
Yep.
New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor, the first major show outside of WWE to do main show in Madison Square Garden. Eslam was there. It's like it doesn't happen, and he was there. He was there
Yes.
present with me.
Yes, I
Man doesn't
was.
remember a fucking thing that happened.
No,
I
I do
hate him
not.
for it. One
He
of the biggest
witnessed
events in wrestling
history.
history.
And it just
Yeah.
went right over
And
his
I was
head.
there for AEW before the pandemic. It was amazing.
Literally the last show before the
Chicago.
pandemic.
Yep,
The
I was there.
Revolution pay-per-view.
I witnessed history. I just don't remember it.
Yeah. You got to see Orange Cassidy versus Pac
Yep.
in Orange Cassidy's first match, I think, at the time in AEW. And then the first one where he tried in AEW. And you also got to see the Hangman Kenny Omega versus Young Bucks tag team match, which is arguably considered the greatest tag team match in wrestling history. But you don't remember any of that either. So fuck you.
Nope. I just
All
remember
right.
I almost got molested by a ghost. That's about it. And
That's
Taco
right.
Bell.
That was the same trip in Taco Bell. Yeah, that's what happens. All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about WrestleMania. So Disco, you saw night 2, so I'm gonna focus a little bit on night 1. So I'm looking here at the image. I don't know if you want to bring that up real quick again, Eslam. So a couple things first off. I don't know if you could see the cursor or anything when I move it, but basically the first part here I want to talk about is just straight at the main event of night 1. The first time ever we had a tag team championship match at the main event of WrestleMania. It's never been done before. I'm very glad that they did this. Sami Zayn, the man who's kicking Jey Uso in the face, has been on fire. He's got to be like the MVP of WWE this year. And the fact that they got the chance to put him in the main event, I'm very happy about. Even though it was night 1, it's still a main event of Mania, and it was a tag team match. One hell of a match, one of the best tag team matches I've ever watched. Phenomenal. Next to that, we do have Rhea Ripley, who beat Charlotte Flair for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. Another amazing, phenomenal match. A lot of people thought this was going to go on last. In the end, I think it was still up in the air what they wanted to be the main event, and they finally switched to the tag team match instead of this. Some people were upset about it. I think most people were okay with it. She had a phenomenal match. She's a future star. She's going to end up fucking running the damn company because she's so good. Then I just want to jump down to actually Disco, the bottom left one here where you have the man throwing another man on top of a third man. Was that night 2?
Yeah.
3 guys who just beat the shit out of each other?
The Sheamus,
Drew McIntyre and Gunther.
And Gunther.
Yeah, that was night 2.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we got that, and then we have the Snoop Dogg one. So those are a couple of highlights of night 1, and I kind of want to just jump to this next one here. So another one we have, and this is a news story I have from WrestleTalk.com, written by Amanda Savage. We have the match between Seth Rollins and Logan Paul, where KSI, who's another famous YouTuber, who's dressed in this Prime Energy drink or whatever it is that's created by Logan Paul and KSI. Basically, Logan Paul jumped out the ring and put this man through a table by accident. It was a fun moment. It was cool. Logan
by
Paul.
Accident? Was it really by accident, or is it like?
Well, I mean, it was storyline by accident.
Oh, okay.
But what's it called? Basically, what happened was it was Seth Rollins was fighting him, and Seth Rollins was like ringside. Then they revealed this guy, he had like a cover on his face, and he took off his face, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's KSI. And then most wrestling fans were like, who's that? We don't know. We don't watch YouTubers. And so it was a big deal to the rest of the world, I guess. And but yeah, no. So it was that, and then basically Seth Rollins was laying on the table. He jumped off, pulled this man on there, and then Logan Paul jumped on top of him, put him through the table. I was like, oh my god, I put my friend through a table. And yeah, so Clark Griswold is saying something that I kind of want to mention here. He appreciates Logan Paul's athleticism, but he can't stand his face. That's that. I feel like that's most wrestling fans. Like we all kind of just dislike Logan Paul, but god damn it, this man's incredible when he puts on a mask. Like he proved it when he fought against Roman Reigns in Saudi. He did it here again against Seth Rollins, and even when he was fighting the Miz, he was doing a pretty damn good job too. So the man's athletic is all hell. He does the damn thing in the ring. It's like as much as we don't like him, he's kind of really fucking good at it. So gotta respect him for it. But for nothing else. So we do have that. Another part of WrestleMania Night 1, we had Rey Mysterio doing a tribute to Eddie Guerrero, coming out in a lowrider driven by Snoop Dogg
Oh
during his
wow,
match.
nice.
So this match was another one that was like built up very well. Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio, father versus son.
Oh,
And yeah, so this was a big highlight.
Spicy.
Yeah, and if you guys remember years ago, before Eddie Guerrero passed away, the "I'm Your Poppy" storyline, Eddie Guerrero claimed that he was Dominic's real father, and then we had Eddie versus Ray for the custody of Dominic. Here we are, and they ended up fighting at no, it wasn't WrestleMania 21, but that was like many years ago. Here we are, years later. Ray's now fighting his son, and one of the things they said in the storyline were like where Dominic's like, "No, fuck you, this, that, the other," and he even said he's like, "You know what? I wish Eddie was my dad." I was like, God damn, like they're hitting it, they're calling back to the old storyline, the whole "I'm Your Poppy" storyline.
nice.
And it was cool. This segment, basically, Ray comes out and they're playing. I forgot which one of Snoop Dogg's songs, but they're playing his song. And everyone's like, "Okay, Snoop Dogg, he's driving a lowrider. Ray's out there." And then they cut to "Viva la Raza," Eddie
Oh,
Guerrero's theme song, and I was like,
yeah.
"Oh my god, they did the damn thing." They do that, and then Ray gets out the car. They cut to his theme. They go out and they have a banger. They have one hell of a match. At one point, Dominic is going to cheat, him being the heel, and try to beat Eddie. And Bad Bunny, most famous singer in the world from Puerto Rico, he goes there, interferes, stops the cheating from happening. Rey Mysterio comes out on top, wins the match. Um, Bad Bunny, huge wrestling fan. He's been involved in WWE multiple times. I've talked about him on PowerBomb Weekly multiple times. So it's always good to see him out there. He's like one of those fans who's like, yeah, he can go too. He's another celebrity who can put on a decent match, put on some pretty cool moves. And good to know. And also, next pay per view taking place in Puerto Rico, first time in many, many years. So pretty cool to see that
Nice.
happen. So
Good ish.
we had that. And
Oh, that's
then
awesome.
this
Puerto
was
Rico
night two.
represent.
So this is one quick thing I want to mention, and it's blurred out because I wasn't sure about YouTube. So Disco, you did see this one. We have the Hell in a Cell match. First time in a couple of years we've had a Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania between Edge and Finn Balor, who's in his demon form. Early on in the match, Edge throws a ladder directly at Finn Balor's face, and the match kind of stops for a second. They cut to Edge. You see a bunch of doctors running the cell. They're trying to figure out what happens. Apparently, he busted his head open, and they had to put staples in his head during the match. And then he just got up and just kept on wrestling.
Nice.
It was pretty wicked. He like threw the it didn't look as serious at first, but then we
Yeah.
saw it, his head like hit the rung. Like
Yep.
it was just bad, like nothing really he could have done. If it was just a little over to the left or something like but yeah, his head like rocked back. It was crazy.
Yeah. And to Finn Balor's credit, man, gets staples put in his head, gets up, and finishes the match.
Yeah.
He goes off. He climbs like they put a platform like up in the not at the very top of the inside of the cell, but like towards the top. He climbed all the way up there. Fucking tried to put Edge to like jump through Edge through a table with a stomp. Edge moves. He goes through the table, and this is all after this man had his head stapled and was like fucking bleeding. The thing is, Triple H said this later on in the press conference. It was a little hard to see the blood simply because he was covered in his demon face paint. So it's like this man's bleeding like crazy at one point, and then you can't tell, but then you start seeing the blood pouring out onto the floor, and that's when the doctors jumped in. They did what they had to do. That plus
Dang.
the adrenaline and running around, the blood pumps faster. So we did have that, and then
While that was happening, Edge had like the craziest face while they were doing their thing. He was like with the big eyeballs. I was like, he looks
Is his hair
so
short
terrifying.
now?
I feel you know what Edge's hair is an anomaly. Eslam, it's an anomaly because like it's long, then it's short, and then it's long and it's short, and this is within the span of like 3 days. So it's like I don't understand what's happening anymore. It's just he just shows up and I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Clark Griswold, the match didn't get stopped with the two through someone's nose and keep it going. A reference to Mick Foley famously when he fought Undertaker Hell in a Cell and was thrown off the cell, then through the cell. There was thumbtacks involved. There was a chair that hit him, and then at one point, literally, his tooth falls out of his mouth and goes in his nose. And they kept on wrestling.
Nice.
Don't Mick Foley is God. That's what they say, and it's true. So we got that. Move on to the next part here. One of my favorite segments in all of WrestleMania history. So real quick recap. Night one. Well, first off, the hosts of WrestleMania were The Miz and Snoop Dogg. That's why you see Snoop Dogg all over the place. And then in the middle of night one, they're just like, "Hey, Miz, I want you to fight." Snoop Dogg says, and then Pat McAfee, former commentary on SmackDown. Rudy's a big fan of his. He does the podcast. He used to be a kicker in the NFL or punter. I don't know, one or the other. He comes out. Everybody's like, "Oh my god!" He goes. He fights Miz. They have a little match. Somebody from the NFL gets involved. I can't remember the name. They move forward. Night two, we have Miz and Snoop Dogg are out there again, and Miz is just like, "Hey, what the fuck was that about yesterday when you made me fight Pat McAfee? I was wearing like in a really expensive suit. This is bullshit." And then he's like, "You know what? I'm gonna do it again. I got somebody else to fight you." And then here comes Shane McMahon, and Shane McMahon, he's doing out there. He's doing his little dancing, and then and what's it called? So he's doing his little whole dancing thing, and then he does what's called the I believe it's the International, where it's like a, if you ever watch wrestling, you've seen it, where they throw somebody into the ropes, one person ducks under, they jump, the other person ducks over. It's a whole thing. So Shane's doing it. He jumps up, he lands, goes down, he tries to get back up, and falls down again. Now I just want to cut back to one of my favorite moments ever in wrestling, when Vince McMahon tried to go inside of a ring and tore both his quads. On WrestleMania 39, night 2, Shane McMahon tore his quad. Triple H confirmed it at the press conference.
So was that real? Because I was
Yeah,
dying.
he tore his quad.
I literally rewinded it. Like, this man just jumped and died. He came in the ring for like 20 seconds. Like,
He was legit in the ring for about 20 seconds, falls down, fucking tears his quad. And the funny thing is, at this point, Snoop Dogg had gone out the ring. And yes, the next generation of McMahon's need to yes, because they all tear their quads, including Triple H, who's a sort of a McMahon. He's torn his fucking quads, and Kevin Nash by association. But anyway, so he tears his quad. Snoop Dogg's already out the ring at this point, and Miz, he's like, "Oh, I was supposed to get beat up by Shane. What the fuck do I do?" So he's kind of running around, and then Snoop Dogg comes in the ring, and I don't want to say this because it takes away the illusion, but you kind of hear the referee shouting, "That's just like hit him, like hit him," and then Snoop Dogg goes to the ring, fucking punches Miz. I think he punched him twice, right, Disco? I don't remember. Anyway.
He punched him, and then he dropped the elbow.
Yeah, so he punched him, and then he's kind of going back and forth, and then you hear the referee just shouting, "People's elbow, people's elbow." So then Snoop Dogg goes, and because he is a wrestling fan, he knows exactly what to do. So he kicks Miz's arms in. He goes to look for like the arm. What's it called? The armband that The Rock would take off the elbow pad. He doesn't have one. He checks the other one. He doesn't have it. So what does he do? He takes off his fucking glasses and throws it in the crowd. Then he goes. He hits the ropes horribly. Goes back. Hits the other ropes.
God. Dude, he must have been high as hell, because the way he hit those ropes, it's like, I feel like he was probably gonna.
It's hard to hit ropes. You don't know what to do. You know.
I know, but like, you can bounce off of them.
He didn't.
Honestly, though, for off the hip experience, I think he did. So
a lot of people are giving Snoop Dogg credit.
I think that adds to it, because like he could have not just done anything, and they all would have just been like looking at their heads.
Yeah, I was like, "What do we do now?" I was like, "Fucking Snoop Dogg saved the segment." Snoop Dogg and Vince. I was like, it was pretty good. So he drops the elbow, he hits it. Everybody loses their shit because Snoop Dogg just hit the people's elbow. And I was telling Disco before we started recording, Snoop Dogg at this point was now only the next wrestler in line to wrestle for both AEW and WWE, which I fucking love that fact. Last time he wrestled for AEW, what he did, he jumped off the top rope to hit an elbow. Horrible. Basically, he jumped off, landed on his feet, and then dropped the elbow.
Oh my God. That is...
Yeah, but like, Snoop Dogg is also like, what is he, in like his 60s?
Yeah, the man's old. I get it.
Yeah.
So it's all the respect of the world to this man.
My God.
It's great, you know?
60s, and he's been smoking a shit ton of weed every
like
single
literally
day
every single day.
For like how many years? Like,
yeah.
He has superpowers at this point.
Yeah, man. So let me see. What do I have next? Here?
Yeah, I really
Okay.
didn't know if that knee thing was real. I was
Oh
like, did
yeah.
they plan this? I was like really confused
Yeah.
yesterday when I was watching.
So before I do have the Hall of Fame thing popped up. Before I get to that, I want to talk about the main event. I guess I don't have a slide for it. So, um, so Disco, I'm very curious to hear your impression on the main event. But before I do that, basically what happened was it was Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, and that was for the WWE Universal Championship. Now they were building up the storyline. They built it pretty good. I have to admit, Roman Reigns, he's been champion for almost 1,000 days. Nobody's done this in years. The last two people to get over that were Bruno Sammartino back in the day, and then Hulk Hogan. No one else ever. So he's making history.
Oh, is that Stacy?
Yeah. So so Cody Rhodes, he comes back to WWE from AEW, and they build the storyline. As we know, Cody's one hell of a talker. He's one hell of a promoter. He goes in there, and his whole thing is, my father's a legend, my brother's a legend, but they never main evented WrestleMania, and they never held WWE's world title. I want to be the first Rhodes to do it. He came back to end the story. So he's doing that, and then everyone's just like, "Oh my god, here we go." Vince, I mean, I see his comment is making me talk about Vince. What's it called? Cody's going back, and he's going to be the one to finally defeat Roman. He's held the title for damn near 1,000 days. Cody's going to fucking do it. They go out there, they have a banger of a match. The Usos get involved, and then Sammy and KO, Kevin Owens, they go in there, they get involved. Solo Sikoa, who is another one of the NOE family, a cousin to Roman, he gets involved. Paul Heyman's involved. There's like a whole thing. In the end, Roman Reigns wins, and everyone's kind of like, "What the fuck?" It was supposed to be Cody. So I'm just real curious, Disco. How did you feel about that match? Since you're not
I
watching it, I want to know your perspective.
I I don't really know too much background, but the way they
Yeah,
built it up, it was like family versus family. So I was like
yeah,
kind of getting hyped up about it, and then um you could tell they're both like amazing athletes, but I hated how like for Roman there were just so many people helping him. Every 2 seconds it was just Solo did
the
this, Solo
bloodline.
did
Yeah,
that. And then Solo even grabbed the Cody's ankle at one point. I was like,
yeah,
get another ref in there. Come on, we need to like, you know, stand back to back because like
yeah.
but it happened like a million times, and then even at the end, Solo came back with like a
He's the
hoodie
reason why Roman won. Solo
and
Sikoa, Solo
snuck
Sikoa,
in,
and Paul Heyman. Yep.
whomped on Cody, and then I think Roman woke up again and speared him and then pinned him, and I was
Yep.
like, that was some bullshit. He got
Yeah.
robbed. I was like so upset, and then but at the I was like thinking about it, like the fact that he's like at 900 days, I feel like they're gonna that's why they gave it to him so he could build that legendary number status, at least get
Yeah.
to 1,000 or something, and then
Yeah.
maybe Cody get another chance, and it'll be like even more build and tension. But I mean, I don't know like the background or whatever. But I was really rooting for Cody. I was like, kick some butt. And there was one sequence where he was doing some crazy punches. I was like, oh, he's pulling out the finesse. He like slid on the floor and punched him while
Oh,
he was like falling. He was
so
doing some
Disco,
crazy stuff.
what that is he was that's both his brother and his father's movement. So in that moment, when he's doing like he's setting it up, he's punching him, then he hits him with the elbow. That's Dusty Rhodes' bionic elbow.
Yeah.
Then when he drops down and then goes up and punches him, that's an homage to Goldust, his brother. So it's like his
Oh
whole
man.
family is involved in that
Yeah.
one moment. So it's
That
awesome.
was
But
it was really fun to watch that.
yeah,
Like
great
I
match.
really love that move sequence. They're going back and forth, and then but I was just kind of like disappointed about how many times that Roman got saved, and
Yeah.
it is what it is. Overall, I think it's still an incredible match to watch because at the end, I was like, damn, they're still going. It was like 45, 50
Oh, they were
minutes
going
in.
for
I
a
was
while.
like,
Yeah,
their
they had a lot
stamina
of time
is
to fight that.
insane.
Yeah.
I was tired for them. Like I said, like I told them earlier, after I was done with WrestleMania, I took a nap for them. It was just so intense. It was so intense.
Yeah, man, that's a lot. Now, I don't mind finishes like that so much. It's just there's a lot behind this one. Now, the thing with Roman, like you said it perfectly, and this is your first time watching Roman Reigns fight, I'm sure. Cody too, for that matter. But you said it sucked that they were doing that, and they kind of had everybody help them cheat. Now, imagine seeing that for 1,000 days. How would you feel?
Dang. I
So
mean,
that's why, yeah,
it said
that's
he defended the belt like 7 times. I mean, I would be pretty
yeah.
disappointed. So I got that 7 times. Like, come on, man.
Exactly. So it's like you have people who keep coming close, and then at the very end, Roman and his family do something, and he keeps the title. Which, like, I get it; it's storyline, everything. But if you look at Clark Griswold's comments that he's putting in the chat, that kind of reflects how everybody's been feeling about this moment. It was like, fuck, it was supposed to be Cody. It was this was the moment. It's like he built it up, and it would have been perfect. Of all people, you have Cody do it. He does what his father never did. His father, the fucking Great American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, couldn't do it. His brother never did it. And here comes Cody. He fucking finishes the story. He beats the NOA family. He beats the bloodline. He puts an end to Roman's reign, pun intended. And then he goes out there and at WrestleMania comes out on top. And then in the end, they're just like, no. And Disco, I agree with you 100%. I'm pretty sure they're just like, look, he did 1,000 days. I was like, was that worth it? Was the 1,000 just to say that? Was that worth ruining this perfect story?
It was so good too, though. Just like even from what I just saw in the WrestleMania, I was like, he needs to win. He needs to win,
Yeah.
and it it didn't happen. So I wonder who's in
Yeah.
charge of that.
So yeah, so with that being said, there's a real fun fact. So anytime you see a fucked up finish like that in wrestling, where it's like, oh, somebody was supposed to win, but they have some type of bullshit rule, or somebody wins by DQ, or there's some type of bullshit. Ironically, it's called a Dusty finish because Dusty Rhodes was famous for doing it. So the fact that it happens to his son, it's like, god damn. But anyway,
The
so there's
irony.
that, and then let's just do a quick recap. So the day before WrestleMania 1, we had the WWE Hall of Fame. So Eslam, you were talking about who went to the Hall of Fame this year. I put like a little image here together because I couldn't find one I liked on the internet anywhere. So I was like, fuck it, let me try to make something. So I'm just going here real quick, left to right. Stacy Keebler. We all know her. She's got legs. She went into the WWE Hall
The
of Fame.
the photo that Greg posted with her was hilarious.
I don't
Where
know.
he posted a photo of them, Greg Miller from Kind of Funny.
Yeah.
He posted a photo of him and Stacy when they were like young kids, and Greg was like fat and like super nerdy,
Hmm.
and now like he looks way better and like adult. So he's like, it took like however he in his caption on Twitter, he was like, it took this many years for me to get a better photo with Stacy, and I thought that was like really funny. It
Nice.
was funny.
So seeing Stacy go to Hall of Fame was fun. During that era of WWE like divas and stuff, I had the biggest crush on Stacy. She was always like
Yeah,
my favorite diva. So seeing her go in the Hall of Fame was always great.
but
She was in.
s-
Now go ahead.
seeing a picture of young fat Greg
Yeah.
with the face that he was making,
Oh, it's
that
just the best.
that 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 picture of Greg
Yeah.
is his personality today, and it's the
Yeah.
fucking best. It's
Yeah.
it's so good. He's
Real
so
quick,
goddamn funny.
since we're talking about Greg, I don't know if you guys are aware, he is hired. He is a WWE employee. Has been
Is
for a
he
little
one of
bit
the
now.
writers?
No, he they gave him his own show called This Is Awesome. It's on Peacock, and basically he goes out there. He talks about awesome moments. It was renewed for a second season,
Nice.
and Greg has actually been a part of WrestleMania and other pay per views and stuff. At this WrestleMania, he was on there on the pre show and on the main show. So like the fact that you see somebody who's legit just like some dude who is like a diehard wrestling fan who's now like living his dream, fucking owns his own company and kind of funny, and then he's out here working for WrestleMania. So and he did the damn thing. He did an amazing job and everything he did. So shout out to Greg Miller. He kicked ass like he always does. But so we have Stacy there. Like I said, it was nice to see her there. She was inducted by Mick Foley and Tori Wilson.
Nice.
So we have that. Next to her, we have Tim White. He was a referee, and he was a referee. Okay, Clark Griswold said, I hope Greg never sneezes in front of Vince. That's a thing. Vince McMahon has this thing that everybody knows. You're not allowed to sneeze in front of Vince McMahon. He loses his shit. That's the type of person that Vince McMahon is. But anyway. So Tim White, he's a referee, legendary referee. He passed away a few years ago. I think 2020 is when he passed. He was known in some insane storylines, and he was inducted by the APA, Farouk and Bradshaw. So one fun thing about Tim White was he owned this bar in real life, and then during the Attitude Era, he was just like, "Hey, why don't you guys come over by our bar?" And the APA kind of told the story at the Hall of Fame. They're like, "Why don't you come by our bar? Use my bar as storyline stuff." The APA, they like to drink. Other people like to drink. Stone Cold. We'll put them there to use it for storylines. And this genius, what he did was like he had them wreck certain things so WWE could go ahead and buy them newer versions of it. So he had a jukebox that didn't work. They wrecked it, and WWE just bought him a brand new jukebox. Like he basically just like keep coming to my bar so we could use stuff and then fuck up my equipment so you could get me new shit on WWE's dime. So that legendary referee, and he apparently handled like all the books and money stuff between the company and the wrestlers and all that. So, legendary ref. He got the Warrior Award this year. He was always fun to see. He always was fun backstage segments and all that. So, shout out to Tim White. Next to him, man, needs no introduction. Rey Mysterio, quote unquote Junior, went to the WWE Hall of Fame. I believe this
Nice.
is only the second time somebody who is currently active went into the Hall of Fame. The first one being Ric Flair. Um,
Definitely makes sense.
yeah. Well, then he quote unquote lost and retired the following day, but then kept fighting for another 20 years. But what's it called? So we have Rey Mysterio going to the Hall of Fame. He told a great story about how he came up, how people helped him out. His wife Angie helped like pay for him just to go through. At the time, his girlfriend Angie helped pay for him to go into wrestling and learn how to wrestle. So, and here he is now. So he thanked Angie for everything. Hell, I think the whole audience started chanting "Thank you, Angie," because without her, we wouldn't have Rey Mysterio. We have that. We talked about Conan, who inducted him. Was just like he kind of like helped Ray get to all these different places. Like he was like this kid who looks like he never hit puberty, and who was like under 18 at the time. He had to like sneak him in the bars. Like, no, he's totally 18. He's totally old enough to wrestle, and he's just this young kid, and you can't tell he's wearing a mask. Or like, no, he's one of like the little people. It's fine. He's gonna wrestle with them. Like they did all this stuff just to get Ray in there. And then Ray thanked everybody, and of course, man has a legendary run. Well deserved, obviously, going to the Hall of Fame. Next to him, we have Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman is a
I've
comedian.
definitely heard that name before.
Yeah, so he's a comedian from the 70s, famous
Hmm.
for being on Taxi. Um, the man's a diehard wrestling fan, and during that time period when he was famous with Taxi, he had a thing with Memphis, his wrestling thing, Jerry the King Lawler's, where he had this storyline where he's like, "Hey, I really liked wrestling. I really want to be what he called a bad guy wrestler, a heel." He's like, he grew up as a wrestling fan. He's like, I want to go out there and just be the most despicable person there is. So he came up with the intergender championship and would just beat women. And like he did that. I don't mean beat women in that sense. Like he would just wrestle them and defeat them, and it
No,
would
no,
be
I
real
get what you
ladies.
mean.
Yeah. So it's like he would pull them from the crowd and legit like just use like his strength to like pin them down. He's like, I'm the intergender champion. And then they came up with the storyline where Jerry the King Lawler is like, no, that's bullshit. Why don't you wrestle me? They went back and forth. They went on Letterman, which was like the most viewed segment on Letterman, where he slapped the shit out of Andy Kaufman on there. Jerry the King Lawler did. Letterman didn't know it was going to happen. They cut to commercial right away. And the cool thing about Andy Kaufman is his bits, he always played like they were real. Yeah. What's it called? He played his bits like they were real, and he fucking what's it called? He nobody knew when he was acting. Nobody knew when he was doing stuff, and he was just one hell of a legend in comedy and now in wrestling. He's in the Hall of Fame. All right, so we have that, and then the last one we have the Great Muda, Kenji Muto. Eslam, we got to see Kenji Muto, the Great Muda, fight in Madison Square Garden. Man's a Hall of Famer, and you
I
don't know
know,
him.
man. I know. I remember.
But Keiji Muto, or the Great Muta, he went to Hall of Fame. Man never wrestled in WWE ever in his entire career. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame. Fucking legend. So he's obviously big in
Straight
Japan.
boss.
Yeah, obviously big in Japan. He wrestled for WCW and Ring of Honor occasionally, and I believe he might have done some stuff in AEW. But yeah, man's a legend. You know how a lot of times you see Japanese wrestlers, they shoot the mist out into people's eyes and they do all that stuff. This is the man who fucking started that trend. Like he's the guy who did that. He had a tour this past year, like his farewell tour, where he had big matches throughout the world actually. And then I don't know if he has any more. It might have culminated with this, where he goes into the Hall of Fame. So all these people are legends. I got a ton of respect for all of them. So shout out to all of them for going to the WWE Hall of Fame. And oh yeah, he was inducted by Ric Flair, and Andy Kaufman was inducted by Jimmy Hart, Mouth of the South. So we're gonna move on to the next one here. I think that's everything I have for WrestleMania. Disco, do you have anything else you want to say for that?
For WrestleMania,
Yeah.
let's see. I think, as someone that doesn't watch, I
Mm-hmm.
think one of my favorite wrestlers was Asuka, and she lost.
Oscar, yeah.
I like her face paint and just like her whole like character, pretty much. She I felt like she could like do some fine tuning, but overall, I like enjoyed her performance, and I would like to see where she goes, like
Yeah.
type of thing.
Oh, I got some shit to
Um,
say.
oh yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really like her like creepy. I don't know. Growing up, I always like that creepy
Oh, is that
smile.
the one
Like
that looked like a vampire you had in the first slide in black?
I
Or is
don't
that
think so.
another
I could
wrestler?
jump back.
Okay.
No, that's Rhea Ripley. I don't have an image
Okay.
of Asuka here,
Okay. Okay.
unfortunately.
nah, yeah.
That
But
face paint, it's something she used to do before she was in WWE occasionally, and she just started doing it in WWE.
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I thought the other women's match was pretty cool. There was like so many people there. I was like hard for me to keep track of all their names, but I was actually shocked when they like pretty much threw one of them off the out of the ring into like a group of other like fighters. I was like,
Mhm.
oh shoot, they're going hard right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like the women's like wrestling definitely changed from the last time I watched from
Oh
like
yeah. From the last time you
I was
watched it,
like,
hell yeah,
they're
dude.
actually like wrestling.
They're
Not to
wrestling
like
now.
throw any shade to back then, but like it's just more not just looks or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
actual skill and going at it and real storylines. They actually
Oh
like
yeah.
have like more shine, and I've really appreciated that. Um,
I mean, the Japanese and the Ring of Honor women wrestlers were fucking phenomenal at that show we went to in Madison
Yeah,
Square
I'm
Garden.
sure you remember it. Yeah.
I do. That's
yeah,
one of the very few things I do remember. Also, their Royal Rumble was awesome. I enjoyed that more than WWE Royal Rumbles.
yeah.
This was fun.
No,
Also,
it was better.
the Sheamus McIntyre Gunther fight. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if I
forgot
got
about
this.
that. That was that's one of my favorites
I don't know
actually
if
of
I
the whole
just
thing.
got distracted or whatever, but I felt like, oh, I was like, where did Gunther come from? Like, I felt
Okay.
like he was gone for most of the match, and then he came in at the end, just like came
Yeah,
in and then took the pin and then like won. I was like, what happened?
I got you.
Uh,
So basically with that, happy birthday, Henry. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So that match, Disco. So that those three guys, they're basically three of the hardest hitting people in WWE, which that match showed. If you notice, that match was more violent than every other fucking match there was.
yeah, they're going
Um,
crazy.
yeah, so they're beating the shit out of each other, and like you're saying, Gunther, like he kind of disappeared for a second. That's normally done in a triple threat. You have two guys fight, one guy dips, another guy goes, and they kind of rotate. Believe it or not, they didn't do it this much of this match. It was very minimal compared to how they normally do it. Gunther, he was there for the most part. At the end, they kind of waited to bring him back in and kind of surprise everyone. Like, look, Gunther's still fucking here. But with that, one thing I want to say real quick. I see Clark Griswold. I love saying that. Basically, it was just like, he thought Sheamus should have won, which I get where you're coming from. I was happy to see Gunther win, especially now that I know the main event, how it ended at Mania. My only reason for that is like I feel like Gunther not having the Intercontinental Championship makes sense to have him be a threat to fight Cody if Cody was champion. But because Roman kept the title, I was like, okay, leave the title on Gunther for a little bit longer. He could eventually drop it to somebody. But I do agree if they had Sheamus pin Drew, that could have kept Gunther, strong. I get that.
I
But
thought Sheamus was gonna take the W too, so that's
yeah.
why I was like, where the hell did this guy come from?
Yeah, that's the only accolade that he hasn't won in WWE. By the way, he's done everything else except for win the Intercontinental Championship. So that would be cool to see Sheamus do that. But
Yeah.
Gunther, he's still like the younger of the three. He's still like the up and comer, and dude's badass. He used to fight under the name Walter in NXT and all of like Europe and stuff, and in the Indies. Dude was badass. I actually got to see him fight at NXT the year of WrestleMania 35, where he won the NXT UK Championship from Pete Dunne. So one hell of a wrestler. But
Damn.
anyway,
You see, that's what I was saying. Like, I wish I was watching it with you so I could get all this
I could
background
tell
when
you
I'm
like what
watching.
the yeah. I gotcha.
And the last thing I just want to bring up, Omos, like the Nigerian giant.
Oh yeah, Omas.
He's huge. I grew up watching Lesnar. Grew up watching Lesnar. I was like, oh, that's a huge
Yeah,
mother effort. But then I
yeah.
saw Omos, and he was just throwing like Lesnar
Just
like
picking up
nothing.
Lesnar
Like
and just throwing him around.
he's got to be 300, 400 pounds, and Omos is just like
Yeah,
ragdolling him. I was like, sheesh.
yeah.
Um,
He's still got some. He's still got a little bit to learn. He's not there yet. But it was okay.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the match was kind of like very mid, but like just it's the sheer wow factor.
The
It's the
visual,
first time
yeah.
I ever seen somebody that big.
Amen.
Yeah, and that's I think that's all I have for.
All
Yeah.
right. So we got that. So that's WrestleMania in a nutshell. Let's move on to what happened at WrestleMania. I mean, after WrestleMania, where um, it was announced that Endeavor, the company that owns UFC, uh, purchased WWE and is planning to merge the two together to create a new company, which as of right now does not have a name. So this is an article, Wrestle Talk, written by Liam Winnard. So huge news. We've known for a while that WWE was planning on selling, especially once Vince McMahon forced himself back into the company. And was just like, no, it's cool. I'm back because I put in a stipulation that says I can come back if I'm going to sell the company. So there we go. It's been sold. Endeavor owns it, and everyone's like, "What the fuck does this mean?" There were rumors about this happening where on the during the press conference, there was one person who was even asking the people's like, "Hey, do you guys have any comments about this potential of this between or merger between the UFC and WWE?" And nobody had any comment. Next day, we get this. So that's basically the gist of it. That's what it is. The two companies are going to merge at some point later this
Does
year. Go
does
ahead.
that mean like UFC fighters can like be on the wrestling, or like are they gonna interchange, or like are they just two separate companies owned by a parent company type thing? Is it like
So
what does that really mean?
So I mean, we don't know. Basically, we don't know, but it could. That we've seen a lot of back and forth between the two, so it could be in a sense where I wouldn't be surprised. I heard this. I can't remember where exactly, so I don't know who to credit. But one thing is UFC. Right, I don't follow UFC as much as I used to, but UFC. A lot of it is you have the fighters promoting themselves, who have to be good talkers. For example, Conor McGregor, one hell of a
Mhm.
talker. That man's a fucking WWE wrestler. Let's be real. That's what he is. He's a WWE superstar who just fights for real. So with that being said, they might. I wouldn't be surprised because they have the performance center where the wrestlers learn how to wrestle and learn how to talk. I wouldn't be surprised if they have some type of situation where it's like, hey, this guy's a really badass fighter in the UFC, but he needs to work on his quote unquote promos. Send him over to the WWE Performance Center. Let him learn how to talk. Go back and fucking raise his stock in UFC. That's one thing I could see happening, kind of behind the scenes. Um, Maybe you are going to have somebody who's wants to kind of like maybe that they're at the tail end of their career in UFC, or maybe they kind of just don't want to do it no more. They want to make their way over to WWE. Maybe you have vice versa. Somebody who's just like, you know what, I'm a fucking badass. I can't really do what I want to do in WWE. Let me prove that in UFC. I could see that. I could see that going back and forth. They might have some type of stuff going on where you have somebody who is a big name, like a Conor McGregor, for example, who's just like, fuck it. If he can put on a match, let's put him on a match and have a big spectacle. Save it for WrestleMania. You know, you could have that, or Roman Reigns is inclined. I doubt he would, but who knows? Maybe they'll put Roman in the UFC cage, octagon one day and see what they do there. So
There won't be anybody to save him in there.
if they merge the WWE, they'll find a way. Paul Heyman's going to be the referee.
Someone's gonna come in and just grab McGregor's ankle or whoever it is.
But yeah,
Oh
so I
man.
mean, honestly, Disco, we don't know. We don't know what it means. We're still finding out.
The one thing I would do though is I would definitely name the parent company, but I wouldn't like do what like for example what HBO and Discovery are doing where they're combining it,
Yeah.
merging it and creating a whole new name for both companies. That makes sense because they're both the same company, right? They're both entertainment content creators.
Mhm.
Here you have one is an actual combat sport and the other is an entertainment sport. um, and they do not. It's like oil and water. It does not mix well. Um, the benefits that you stated of like UFC fighters promote themselves and they do need to do better promos. That makes absolute sense, and it could work on both their favors. Also, when fighters are, and the UFC side are kind of um, coming down from their high and like their body starting to
Ronda
come
Rousey.
down a little bit. Yeah, exactly. They can, if they're talented enough, they can switch over and do, the WWE, and that way they can share talent in a specific way. But I think they still need to be separate.
Well, they are.
They need to be
They're not
separate but
becoming one
together.
company. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna be subsidiaries of this new whatever they're gonna call it.
Okay, but
Yeah.
that parent company still doesn't have a name.
Exactly.
Okay, okay, that makes
Yeah.
a lot more sense. I just
Yeah.
thought like they were gonna merge, and I was like, this is not good.
Oh, that's weird because they're very different things. Yeah. So basically, I'm gonna get to it on the next slide here, but basically, I forgot the gentleman's name. It's Ari Emanuel, I believe, who owns Endeavor. He's still gonna be like the CEO of this new company, and then Vince McMahon's still gonna be chairman. You have Nick Khan is still gonna be the president of WWE.
Mhm.
Dana White is still the president of UFC, and then we still have Triple H running storylines under WWE.
So Endeavor currently owns UFC.
Yeah, they bought UFC a few years ago.
Okay.
Apparently, they did a good job at the time. UFC was in pretty bad debt. Endeavor turned them into a however much $1 billion company, and they've
Well,
done
I mean, I
a
feel like
lot for
that
them.
that was a lot to do with Dana also. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But anyway, so that's basically what comes down to with that, and then move on to the next slide here. So here we go. Like I said, I was going to talk about this here. So basically, what is Triple H's role in this scenario? So like I said, Triple H is still going to be running the storyline stuff of WWE, or so we thought. I'll get into that a little bit later. And everybody was just like, okay, Triple H is running it. Good. He did one hell of a job this past year. Put on a decent Mania. Had pretty good highlights. Man's been killing it in terms of storyline that people haven't really cared about it much. Before Triple H taking over. So everyone's like, okay, as long as you let Triple H do his thing, everybody's good, and that includes the fans and the wrestlers. Everybody wanted that. And then moving
Nice.
forward, it was like, okay, so if that's Triple H's role, that's what's going to happen. Then what happens with Vince McMahon's role? And so Vince McMahon, basically, like I said, he's supposed to still be the chairman. He's not going to get involved in storylines, but they stated that he does have final say for the storylines. So basically, the day
Oh
to day
god.
stuff, Triple H is running it, but at the end of the day, Vince does high level stuff, or so they say. So that's what's happening there.
Just fucking retire, man. Jesus Christ. Just retire. You did good. You really did.
You did
Just
He's got to
good.
let
You
go.
just
did
He
just
got to
good.
let go.
fucking go already. My God.
Oh
Like
man.
I'm getting upset and I'm not even a wrestling fan. Like, yo, just get the fuck out already. Please.
Oh
Please.
man.
Tired of hearing you fuck up all this stuff.
Just look at that
Jeez.
face. Just look at that
I
face.
know. I can't stop looking at it. What's wrong with his eyebrows?
There
So
we
much Botox.
go. I can't wait till I get the image with the mustache, and I added a little flair to it. You guys are gonna enjoy it.
I
Um,
like that bandana Vince that I sent you in
oh,
the
Durag
chat.
Vince is the best.
A
Guess what?
durag.
Durag Vince is gonna make an appearance on this podcast, guys, because it's my favorite version of Vince McMahon.
Durag Vince. Oh God.
Anyway, what do I have in the next slide? I don't even know. Okay, so yeah, so this there was a like I said, there was like a whole thing like what the fuck's happening with this? They had all the employees have a meeting before Monday Night Raw where it was just like, "Hey, what the fuck is happening? Is Triple H still running things cuz this is how the wrestlers enjoy it. They like working under Triple H's, reign there for the storylines." So they went in there and they kind of confirmed everything I stated to you guys already. Triple H is still running everything stays the same. Nothing's going to change. You guys don't have to worry. Vince is doing his thing. Triple H is still running the show here. Everyone's like, okay. Everybody was like, all right, we're good. We're happy with that. We don't want changes. We like what you're doing. We want to keep this going. And what do I have on my next
Wait,
here?
sorry. Okay. That's yeah.
I'll go back. I'll go
I
back.
just I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to yeah, can you go back one more?
One more.
Yeah. Yeah. So Rudy was like he looks like an old Batman villain. And yes, he does. I
He
feel like
does.
he looks like he's very close to getting to the Joker from what's his name? Um fuck, I
Jack
forgot his
Nicholson.
name. Yes, Jack
The
Nicholson's
the
Joker.
1989 Batman.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I was gonna leave it on
That's
there for a second.
yeah,
I
it's
totally
just
see that.
right. Like you can see like that smile starting to get there because of the
Yeah.
Botox and the eyebrows and oh my god.
Oh man! Shout out to
I
you,
might
Rudy. Thank you
have
for coming by.
nightmares. I might have nightmares later.
Well, hey, that's been wrestling fans for the past few years. But let's move on. So we got
Yeah.
this. All right, so we got this one, and so we now see Mustache Vince, who was like, you know what? I want to put a picture of other famous mustache men. So I have J. Jonah Jameson, Burt Reynolds, Tom Selleck, and then Gomez Adams from the Adams Family, just surrounding Vince now that he's one of the mustachioed men of the universe.
God.
Um, so yeah, so basically, a lot of people were just like, hey, so we're cool with Vince doing his thing, Triple H doing his thing, and then Monday Night Raw happened. Apparently, Monday Night Raw happened, and Vince McMahon was sitting in the gorilla position running the entire show. And everyone's like, what the fuck? You said that he wasn't doing this. It's going to be Triple H. Monday Night Raw had a lot of last minute changes.
Mhm.
And they had a couple matches that were supposed to take place that they removed and did bullshit matches that people didn't enjoy. A lot of things happened there, and everyone's just like, this isn't cool. So you have people jumping in there, and they're just like, you know what? If Vince McMahon's still going to stay in power, I'm leaving this fucking company. I don't want to work here.
Yeah.
And why is that, guys? Remember for like a whole fucking year where I kept on saying, hey, PowerBomb Weekly, I'm going to talk about who Vince McMahon fired? A lot of those people got rehired, and they're just like, well, now that he's back, I don't want to work for this man. He fucking
Yeah.
fired me.
Yeah. Are they
So-
leaving too?
That's the thing. So a lot of people are saying, hey, if he remains in power, if he keeps on running shows, we're out. Some people said that they're going to quit. Some people said that they're just going to wait for their contract to finish. Other people stated they're going to look and see what other options there are in the wrestling world.
Oh. Okay.
So we have that, and then we have
He looks like a Nazi or something. What was he thinking?
I don't know. It's that, and then it's the jet black hair dye. Like you saw an earlier picture, he doesn't look like that. Like his hair isn't like that. So we got that, and then what's it called? Now a few people to name. Now, Disco, you said you liked Oscar very much. This, that, and the other. She did put out a tweet right after a match. I don't remember exactly what it stated. I don't have it here readily available, but it was something along the lines of like, you know what? Maybe I should just go back to Japan.
Oh damn! No.
So we have that. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if that's a storyline stuff. We don't know. And then we also have Bailey, who was very prominent. She was in another match I didn't mention earlier, guys. Trish and Lita wrestled at this WrestleMania. They were teamed up with Becky Lynch for the going up against Bailey and Damage Controls, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. But anyway, Bailey, big name in the wrestling company. She said something along the lines of sometimes the all romantic story. No, she said all romantic stories come to an end or something like that. And like, that's weird. And it was like shortly after like this whole thing with Vince came out, how he was running the show. So everyone's like, fuck, I don't know. It's like a lot of people are looking like they're not happy about Vince being back, obviously. And what do I have next here? Oh, do-rag Vince. So apparently, he made a couple changes. I already said some of them. There were supposed to be 2 triple threat women's championship matches where the winner of each would fight each other and then would go on to fight the women's champion. Instead, Vince McMahon's like, no, I want to see Amos beat somebody in a few minutes. I was like, why? Like, why? We had a whole like storyline built so we could see who's the next number 1 contender for the women's championship. He's like, all right, we do have to have the women wrestle. Let's just have them do a tag team match. It doesn't really matter. It's like, okay, thanks, Vince. So we had that. Like I said, the storylines were changing up to, I think they said up to like an hour before they actually had to occur on TV. He was in there rewriting scripts, and everyone's like, what the fuck are we doing here? So back to the old ways of how Vince was. Do-rag Vince, man. Do-rag Vince.
He's doing too much, man.
It's so much. So this is another one I have that did happen. Now I think there was a change here, but Seth Rollins, prominent wrestler in WWE, he's the guy who fought Logan Paul. They had this weird segment where he came out to the ring, and people like chanting like his theme song thing. He came out to the ring, everybody was chanting. They cut to commercial. They come back, and he's walking backstage. I was like, what the fuck was that? That was weird. And then people were speculating, yeah, so what happened was he was out there, and then they had somebody who was in the arena recording. He was talking to somebody ringside. He looked like he might have been upset. And then he was just like, hey, guys, blah, blah, blah. He said something. They cut back from commercial, and then he walks backstage. People were speculating that he was supposed to go out there, give a promo, and then they had a rewrite right then and there. And just like, okay, go backstage. You're done. So that was that. And now they're stating that that's not the case. They're saying this was what was supposed to happen from the beginning. He was supposed to have to go out there, do nothing, and leave. If you believe it, if you don't believe it, take it for what it is. We don't really know. Only they know.
I don't believe it. That seems insulting too.
It's
like
happened before.
Last minute, last second.
So back when Jericho came back to WWE one of his many times, he did this thing where he would come out. Everyone's like, oh my God, Jericho's back. He came out, he grabbed the microphone, everybody started cheering, he put it down, give everybody high fives, and he would just run backstage. He did that for like 4 weeks. And it was funny because it's like only Chris Jericho could fucking pull this off. But yeah, so it could be real. I mean, I don't know. We don't really know. And this is my last story here, guys. I want to mention real quick. Actually, no, I want to save that. I don't want to ruin that. One last thing I want to mention. I don't have an article here. All day on Twitter today, it's been trending. Fire Vince on Twitter, where everybody wants Vince McMahon to get fired because they're like, "Fuck this. We don't want this. We enjoy Triple H's reign. We don't want this to come back." So much that there was like a whole petition online where they were just like, "Hey, let's hijack SmackDown." Um, Shows have been hijacked in the past where the fans just chant and don't let the wrestlers do anything. They don't let them talk. They just kind of talk over them, shout over them. Sometimes they have beach balls going around. They just act like insane people in the audience. Um, so the plan is for people to hijack SmackDown and just keep chanting "Fire Vince" until the Ari Emanuel of the Endeavor hears this and
I'm about to go
responds.
join them.
So it is what it is. I've heard other articles say that Ari, I already forgot his name, Emmanuel was just like he's very high on having Vince there. He enjoys having Vince there. I don't know if that's true. If the fans try to hijack SmackDown, that's all well and good. I don't know if things have changed, but from what I remember, SmackDown is pre-recorded and they can pipe in and pipe out sounds, which they do whenever you have a wrestler who's very unpopular. They put in fake cheering to have them sound like they're more popular. So if they do have that power still for SmackDown, if you have the fans shouting stuff, they could just take that sound away and just pipe it in with people cheering.
That is
They
true.
can't do that on Raw though, because Raw is
Yeah.
live.
Yes.
I think on NXT, I didn't get a chance to watch it. People were chanting, fire Vince and shit like that during NXT. But yeah, we did have that. And Rudy, yes, we did glance over Pat McAfee because it was just not. It was very forgettable. But we got that. And then I do want to end this on a different note here. It is a little bit of somber. WWE legend does pass away. Bushwhacker Butch on the left there, one half of the Bushwhackers. This story written by Connell Rumsey. They were a fun tag team in WWE. They were very comical. And before their time at WWE, they were called the Sheep Herders, which is I know it's a weird name, but they were like these two guys you didn't fuck with because they just would like murder you. So it's sad to
They
see
look like
Bushwhacker.
rednecks.
Well, they're rednecks from Australia or New Zealand. I can't remember which.
Makes a lot of
Hence
sense.
Bushwhacker.
Ah,
So yeah, what happened was during WrestleMania weekend that you have like all the different promotions they're putting on major shows, and they have WrestleCon where they have people like doing signings and stuff. So Bushwhacker Butch, that's so difficult to say, was supposed to be on a flight to LA to do some meet and greets. Apparently, he took the flight, got very ill, went to a hospital, and then he passed away shortly after. So on his way to greet the fans. So he was still involved in wrestling at that point. So it's sad to see him go. Shout out to or our condolences rather to all family and friends, everybody involved in this. But I believe that's everything I have. Yeah, that's my last story. I've been talking a lot. Apologize.
nah, man, that was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
and fuck Vince. But i- i- hashtag Vince needs to quit. Fire Vince. That's
Hashtag Vince needs to quit Fire Vince. Get it trending,
yes.
guys.
Those are two separate hashtags. Hashtag Vince needs to quit or hashtag Fire Vince. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, we'll see if it happens. I mean,
It
there's
better
that.
happen.
I'm not watching AEW Dynamite obviously right now because I'm doing this podcast, but AEW did just sign one of the hottest free agents in wrestling in Jay White, who we got to see in the main event of Madison Square Garden, Eslam, where he fought a Kazuchika Okada,
Yeah,
and you don't remember it because I
I
remember you
I
kept
know
saying you were
Okada.
tired. I just wanted to go home.
Shit, I'm tired now.
Rudy, who's in the chat, he was sitting there right there next to us. There was a
Yeah.
man sitting behind him who kept on hitting him in the chair.
Yeah, I remember that too. Almost punched the guy. I remember we switched seats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. You guys switched
Michael
seats, and he
J.
just kept
White.
on.
Why?
Because
What?
I said Jay White. I said Jay
Oh,
White. You just ignore him. Ignore him. That's why he's not
okay.
on the podcast anymore.
Okay.
He
Anyway,
said
that's all I got.
rip
What?
Shane's quads.
Yeah. Shane McMahon's quads, man. Just
That shit. It's so funny.
it's like when he went down, I was like, oh man, that sucks. And then later on, when I was watching the press conference,
Yeah.
and Triple H was just like, yeah, he tore a quad. I fucking laughed my ass off so hard. I was like, it sucks. Nobody wants to do that, but at the same time, it's like you're a McMahon and you tore your fucking quad. That's hilarious to me.
It didn't even look like he jumped high. That's why I was like, "Is that real?" Like, I couldn't like.
Well, Shane McMahon's not a wrestler, Disco. Like he's literally just Vince McMahon's son. Granted, he's had amazing matches. I'm gonna give the man his flowers. He's a phenomenal performer, but technically he's not a wrestler, and he hasn't been in wrestling since January, where he was in the Royal Rumble for like a few minutes. So it's like, and before that, he wasn't there for a couple of years. So the man's not a wrestler. He shows up, starts doing this shit, and tears his fucking quad. I was like, hey man, like, thank God Snoop Dogg was there, you know?
Thank God Snoop
Honestly,
Dogg is there.
honestly,
All the McMahons
Oh, hang on,
need to go.
hang on. Stephanie
Huh?
McMahon proved in the past few years she was okay. She was
She's
all right.
not a McMahon.
She was. How's Stephanie McMahon not a McMahon?
She's married to Helmsley.
Do they consider Triple H a McMahon at this point?
No. I'm sorry. No, he's not. He's not. He's a Helmsley. So is his wife. All right. She can go by McMahon while
Well,
she's
it's
wrestler.
Levesque, but okay.
Oh, is it? I don't know his real
His
name.
real name is Paul Levesque. There's
Okay,
not one
so
H in his entire name.
she's Levesque and not a McMahon. So
I'm pretty sure she's still her name is
Yeah,
Stephanie
sure.
McMahon
But
legally.
still, she's a Levesque. She's
I
a
got you.
Levesque.
Then they have their kids who are eventually
Yeah.
going to start wrestling.
Yeah.
The next generation of McMahon. Can't wait.
They're Levesques. They're not fucking McMahons.
No, I know. I mean, Shane has kids too, though. He has 3 boys. Stephanie has 3 girls.
Nah, they need to go.
Damn.
yeah,
This man's
that's
put a hit
cold.
out on the McMahon children. That's crazy. All because of their grandfather.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Just Vince needs to go. Really,
Hey.
he needs to retire.
At least that mustache needs to go.
His whole face, bro. Like that shitty. That that's not PG-13. His face, like that's his face.
You're not allowed to show this to children.
Yeah, like don't they have a PG-13 rating?
Yeah, no, yeah, they're
Yeah, no.
PG. I don't even think it's PG. No, it's not PG-13. It's PG.
Oh, it's PG. That's even worse. Like
Yeah.
they should be getting fined for Vince's
Yeah.
face.
Well, hang on. Vince was on TV again. Hang on. You got to pay for that.
Like that shit should be illegal. But
Oh man. Jay
all right.
White's abs could go to hell. That's hilarious. 'Cause Jay White has the sickest abs like ever.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh
Um,
man.
But yeah, so any other stories or anything? Disco, do you have
I'm all
anything to
tapped out
review
on-
or?
I have a show that I'm going to review.
All right, let's jump into that then.
Pulling up the window.
Love how you're in half the screen.
Can y'all see that?
Yes, we do.
You have that shit in paint.
I love you so much.
I did have that thing.
Oh God. Okay.
You want to
So
zoom in on the
the
image?
Oh, just before you go, I just want to say, fuck, I'm not Shyamalan.
oh God,
Yeah. All right, now you can go.
I can't zoom in.
That's fine.
But the show that I'm going to review today is called Servant by, as Eslam stated, M. Night Shyamalan.
Shama shitbag. Yes.
It's a show that's on Apple TV Plus, and I've actually enjoyed Apple TV's catalog. They have some pretty good shows. But this show here, I was ranked 7.5 on IMDb, 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, if anybody cares. But
Nope.
it's currently on season 4. Just finished.
Season 4?
Yep.
Why is this man still getting money to make
This
stuff?
dude's like a world famous director, Aslam. I get you don't like
garbage.
him, but like, dude, he's famous.
He's garbage.
This show, I didn't want to like it too because of M. Night, but it was actually a pretty interesting concept. Pretty much, the lady in orange, her baby dies. This is a quick little introduction to the show. But her she has like a psychological break where she starts seeing this doll as her son, and it's like her mind just doesn't want to accept the reality. And at a certain point, the baby turns real, and so the guy all the way to the right, the husband, and then Ron all the way to the left have to kind of orchestrate this lie because it just gets pretty intense, and stuff happens with the nanny. It hits like a supernatural direction too. it's got a lot of elements going by, and the actors though they really bring the show to life. It I found myself compelled. I liked all the actors, especially the nanny. What's her name? Let me just look it up. Nell Tiger Free. She plays such like a good, weird, just offbeat nanny. Like she almost like feels Amish, almost just like out of place, but she's not. So I uh I would recommend watching it if you have the time. Definitely check it out. It's a psychological thriller, supernatural sci-fi elements, and probably one of M Night's better works compared to
Mm.
Avatar. Like you just
He has a
man,
couple of good things. Yeah.
he does have some good stuff.
Yeah.
This is one of his better shows. Is one of
Yeah.
his better works. So I would say definitely check it out. It gets pretty interesting, and just trying to keep that lie together, and also just the how the supernatural elements twist in, and it gets you kind of thinking like what's really happening here, and I kind of like that feeling where it's
Shut
like
up, Rudy.
getting immersed. So
You gotta put text up so people know what you're talking about. But Disco, just quick question. You said that the show ended already?
well, season 4 ended. I
Season
don't know
four.
if
So
the
it's not like the
series.
series. I got
Yeah,
you.
I believe it's still ongoing. I don't. I didn't
I
really
hope
check to
not.
see if it's getting another season, but it did hit 4 seasons, so it definitely has some traction. So you don't get 4 seasons for no reason.
Oh,
Um,
meh.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's
I
debatable.
guess
I mean,
I
I'm sure
guess
the
that is
Mandalorian's gonna get 4th season, and
Uh,
we know where that's going.
that's true. That's true. That's true.
so
But anyway,
I want to pitch a quick M Night Shyamalan twist for the end of it. The baby is gonna end up being the mother's mother. I'm putting that out there. So the baby's gonna be her
mother's
mother.
mother.
Yeah,
That
she's gonna be like she's gonna raise the baby to be her mother. Guarantee it.
that would be insane. I if that happens, I will for sure let you know. That would be insane. But I don't think so. But still, nice guess. I appreciate that.
No, no.
Servant, I give it a thumbs up. Definitely check it out. It was a compelling show in my opinion. I like the characters; they are pretty interesting. Um, uh, Servant, check it out. That's must view.
All right. Uh, no. All right. Well,
Hang on, no, because Rudy's typo for that is the best. It says the baby ends up being Eben Shamalis. That is hilarious.
um. All right. Well, thank you for listening to the Los Wise Guys podcast. Thank you, Danny, for um the review of WrestleMania 39. Thank you
Thank you
for
for
the
indulging me. Appreciate
thank
that.
you for the update on on the merger. We're definitely going to be hearing more about it in the future as the news comes up. Thank you, Disco, for reviewing M Shitbag's show.
It's MN Shamalis. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, M.
Shamalamalam.
Shamalala,
Uh,
Shamalamalana.
Disco,
Um,
thank you again for watching video. I know it's a lot. Appreciate that, man.
yeah.
Oh no, of course, had to support.
Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys made this episode way more fun.
Appreciate
We
that.
loved interacting with you guys. Henry, Rudy, shout outs to you guys, and then shout out to newcomer Clark Griswold.
Well, this is his second time here. You know,
Oh,
Yeah,
this is
I was
Clark
gonna
Griswold from
say.
that
before.
did sound
I was
his
gonna
name
Well,
did
say.
that's the
sound
because I remember
familiar.
I said the thing last time. I was like, oh, he's named after a character for one of my favorite movies, Clark
Yeah.
Griswold.
Yeah, yeah.
From
Okay, that
Family
makes sense.
Vacation.
Well, shout outs to you, my friend. Thank you for coming back and joining us for this episode. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review. Like and subscribing to the YouTube channels immensely helpful to us. Go check out our social medias. Follow us, hit us up, slide into the DMs, send Dan some dick pics. Go check out the Los Wise Guys website, loswiseguys.com. And yeah, thank you for listening and have a great week.